My name's Millard Harrison, and I was the first superintendent. When I was hired, as a matter of fact, it was August 1st, 1972, the board said, well, we really got to solve the space problems. At that time, Wayne was sending his 7th and 8th graders to Winthrop. Reedfield was sending his 1st and 2nd graders to a spare room up at Kent's Hill. In June 1973, we had a vote to form a community school district. Meetings galore in terms of what type of school do you want, what type of curriculum, what type of athletic program. And it was decided that a 7 through 12 would be created, and that released the pressure in the elementary schools. That's how we got started. We had looked at several sites, and geographically trying to find some place in the middle, where the distance wouldn't be too great. Mr. Talbot, who owned the farm, I'm not sure whether he owned it or leased it. Anyway, it was decided he wanted to move. And so we approached him, and he said, yeah. He says, I'll sell you. There was 270 acres. We thought, well, with 270 acres, we could have a forestry program, an environmental program, plus it did fit in with the whole idea of being able to have a community place for, trails, cross-country ski trails, and, a softball diamond and things like that, whereas most of the activities for adults were pretty limited. The first thing we had to do is to hire a principal, Bill Pollock. I came from Vermont back to Maine. I'm a native maniac, but I spent 10 years in Vermont as a principal and as a superintendent and everything. And I knew of Bill, but I didn't know him personally, But the little town of Rochester, Vermont had an unbelievable reputation in terms of making use of the environment and the surroundings and the community, and doing all types of things, even though it was a very small high school, less than 200 kids, So I think I might have even called him to see if he'd candidate, and he came out on the top. 1973 he was hired. We were supposed to open in 75. We wanted him a year in advance. We didn't open until a year later because that was during the Vietnam War and the construction company couldn't get the steel. And so some people were very angry to think we had the principal on board for 2 years in a row. Actually, it was a blessing because we just had so many candidates, and so many things to do. I'm not sure how it would have been chaos had we opened just the following year. This whole setting up of the advisor-advisee system was to take this chronic issue with everybody running to the principal, for a decision. Well, you got 50 teachers, you got support personnel, you got parents who are calling and everything. It was just an impossible job. The advisor was the first communication to the parent. In the beginning, and I don't know if they do that now, but in the beginning, because we were new, we had home visits. Every faculty advisor had approximately 12 families. So they were to make home visits so that they could establish a communication level between the school, and if there were issues that came up, then the parent would not be calling the principal, but be calling the student's advisor. And that worked out reasonably well. The open classroom, that was a mixed bag, and part of that idea was the fact that we were trying to get away from the teacher being a lecturer. We saw the teacher more as, developing the lesson plan and introducing it, but then assisting the students in the classroom and going around and working with students rather than standing up there for 40 minutes or 35 minutes or whatever the case may be. We probably did not do a good enough job training teachers to really change. I mean, we're all creatures of habit, right? And we just had a tough time with that. And then shortly after, I think 2 years, we began to put up petitions in the classroom. You know, we liked the idea that the library was open and access, and it was the focal point of the school where kids would come in. But then we lost some books, and so that upset the librarian, and plus lots of other people, you know. And so we had to sort of tighten up the ship. In every town, we had just some terrific people that, you know, were anxious to see something a little bit different than what the traditional, you know, egg crate with its long corridor and the classrooms off each side, and the teacher coming in for 45 minutes with, you know, and everything. So it was more or less just a, you know, we need to look at how we can motivate and create a better atmosphere and make it more enjoyable for kids to learn. It was a board that worked well together for the most part. It never got into the petty politics that sometimes you have, you know, in school boards and selectmen and everything else. It just had a common goal, and that was to develop a school that the community could be proud of and give a good, thorough education, and but do it a little bit differently, you know. Yeah. I think it has been misnamed, though, in a sense. I mean, I wanted it to be named, you know, like Millard Harrison. It should be Community Drive, and not just Millard Harrison Drive. You know, we would have never gotten to where we were without the strong community support. And that was the whole point. It was a community facility. You know, it was open 7 days a week. The gym was open. You didn't have to, you know, facilities were open. So it really should be, and you might want to lead that effort to add Community Drive to it. So, right, yeah. No, it was a former teacher. I think he was either he might have been even a selectman when it came around to name the road, you know. I did not campaign for it at all.